Hey guys, and welcome to Methods Challenge Guide for Iron Dogs. I'm Chris Potter, and here with me as always is Zerps.
Hey guys.
As with all of our CM guides, we're not going to use any super tryhard tactics or bugs, and we're going to show you a nice, clean, easy way to get through the instance that anyone can follow. When we start the dungeon here, what we do is we have our tank, who's Ryan, run around this giant square in front of us, and he's going to round up all the mobs and bring them back to the start. The rest of the group should just wait here patiently, although Roger seems to be a little bit impatient and runs forward, but luckily nothing bad came of it, so it wasn't a problem. When Ryan's got all the mobs he wanted, he mass scripts them together, and here you just want to use everything. All DPS cooldowns, all defensive cooldowns, just try and kill them before they kill you. There's a lot of different debuffs these mobs do, and they do a lot of damage. Your tank just needs to keep as much aggro as possible, and you guys need to do as much damage as possible. You can see we aim him down as hard as we can, but there are a few mobs that were out of the mass script, so it kind of slowed us down a little bit. You want to try and make sure your mass scripts are good, better than Ryan's, obviously. But yeah, not a problem. If you do wipe here, and sometimes, or not if you wipe, but if you do die here, which can happen, the entrance obviously is really close, so just run in and keep going until they're dead. Now here we pull Champion Juna with these few mobs next to her. And Champion Juna actually has an aura which increases the damage of her allies near her by 10%. This does make it sound like you want to nuke her down or something, but 10% really isn't that much, and you're much better off just cleaving and AoEing down here. So here we also pull the Siege Master Ulga, and we actually didn't intend to pull the Siege Master until Juna was dead, because obviously we don't want him having the 10% damage buff. But luckily, Zerip's already had the Iron Bug up on Ryan, and he was able to keep Ryan up, and we finished off Juna, so not really too much of a problem. Ogre actually does have a couple of abilities. His Whirling Blade on the ground, obviously just don't stand in that, it does damage, a lot of damage if you stand in it. And he also does another AoE around him, kind of like a whirlwind. But again, it's not too much of a problem unless you're already low health. Now here we pull the mobs inside this square here, but what we actually intend to do was pull the mobs on the outside. There's not too much of a problem as the mobs are generally quite similar. The only difference is that this pack has the Battle Master, which has the Whirlwind, which is obviously a lot more AoE damage you're going to take. This pack has other annoying abilities too, like this Grease Vial on the ground here. While you're standing in that, if you cast an ability, you get stunned. So it can be really annoying if that lands on you while you're just spamming your abilities away, and you get stunned without noticing. The Battle Master also has a chain drag, but it's not really too much of a problem.
After finishing off that pack, we're gonna pull the boss. And this boss consists of the boss himself and this Dreadfang here. What you want to do is to at all times focus the Dreadfang down. The Dreadfang has one ability which is really dangerous, which I will get back to later. And the boss itself will spawn once hit at 50%. As you can see here, Chris moves on top of the railing here. The reason he does that is because once you stand up there, he's not gonna get hit by these burning arrows you see. It's really nice, and it's a small easy way to avoid taking unnecessary damage. As you can see here, the Dreadfang is gonna cast Savage Mauling, which is a fix-it on a player, and he will do a lot of damage to that player if he reaches him. And you can see here Roger to Terrance's, and it doesn't really do anything, but you want to make sure it dies swiftly after that. After that we have the boss left, and he will cast arrows on the ground, which you've already seen, and he will cast a shield as well on himself, which is called Reckless Provocation. What this shield does is that every direct attack he takes from any player will fear that player. So you want to make sure that as soon as he casts that, you just stop DPSing. You can actually auto attack the boss without it triggering the fear, but just to be sure, just don't attack him at all. You're not really in a rush. We finish off the boss, and we decide that we don't want to be standing on the last boss missing 3 or 4 mobs, so we decide to pull a couple of mobs here in the back. These mobs are actually a bit dangerous because they'll cast grenades on players, and they do a cleave as well. So you want to make sure that you're spread out and not stacked up. As you can see here, I get hit by 2 and I actually die here. But aside that, they die really fast and you just cleave them down. I get rest pretty fast and we move on. After finishing them off, we continue our way. And what you want to do here is to have your tank run in front and get aggro of these two big ogres here. And what you want to do to kill them instead of actually killing them by yourself is to kill them with the Iron Star. They have a lot of health and it will take you a lot of time to kill them by yourself. So just drag them along and kill them with the first Iron Star you see. The other two Iron Stars you want to use to kill the right side of this room, to clear a path for you to walk down and continue your way in the dungeon here. You want to mention that once you actually use the Iron Stars, you still want to keep right to make sure you don't pull anyone that the Iron Star didn't kill or just a random patrolling pack. So yeah, the corpses are a bit bugged once you kill them. They follow you around, look at you as if you have aggro, but don't worry, they are dead. And then here, we're gonna pull this patrolling pack here with the Ogre and the ones, the Chain Smoker in the back here. What we want to do here is to grip them if you have a DK and not out of your own defile, which is a really bad play from Ryan, but yeah. The big Ogre itself has a Thundering Stomp, which is an AoE ability it will do to the group, and it doesn't really do much damage, so don't really worry about it. And then he has the Flurry as well, which is a tank ability. It just does a frontal cleave in front of him and your tank should easily be able to survive it. The small trick here is that you can move it out on the room here and he will get stunned by the barrage and take additional damage. As you can see here, we're going to take it slow, make sure that the cannon barrage isn't on us so we don't die to that, because actually just taking 3 ticks from that will actually wipe you. So just play it safe, don't rush yourself here. And we take this pack really slow, we don't pull the Ogre behind it, because we're out of defensive cooldowns used on the previous pack. So just take it easy, don't rush yourself. And these mobs have the Ravagers on the ground. They have a Technician which is going to cast the pulls as well, but I don't think we get a pull here, we just kill them off quickly. After that, we're going to pull the Ogre here. We make sure we're not in the cannon barrage. Ryan pulls it out so it stands in the next cannon barrage and it gets stunned and takes additional damage. As I said before, these ogres have a lot of health and they actually do take quite a lot of time to kill, but they are not really that dangerous, so just take your time, get them down. After finishing off the Ogre, we're gonna pull the last pack that we're gonna pull in the instance. This pack has the Technicians, it has some arrows that it's gonna throw on the ground, and you need to make sure that you don't get comboed by the stun on the ground with an arrow, because it can really quickly kill you. So just try, always look on the ground, make sure you're not standing in bad, and kill them off. After that, we move on to the second boss of the instance, and I'm gonna leave that to Chris.
As we come up here to the second boss in the instance, you're going to know, obviously if you've done this boss before on any difficulty, that it is a 3-target fight. And you want to have your tank try and keep them together as much as possible so that you can maximize cleave damage. However, you really want to focus on the start at single targeting down the female caster. This is because she has the ability called Sanguine Sphere. Now, Sanguine Sphere is a big absorption that she's going to put on herself. But if you break the absorption, what will happen is that she will heal all 3 of the bosses up a lot of health. So it's very, very, very bad if you damage through the absorption. So what you either want to do is nuke her before she does the first one, if you have enough DPS, or what we do here is we get the first one and we just immediately target something else. You want to not redot her just before it. If you know you're going to get it, you want to move your pet off of it. You just really don't want to damage her and just attack something else. Once it falls off, however, you want to switch back to her and just kill her off quickly before she does the second one. Once she's dead, the fight simply becomes the case of cleaving down the 2 remaining bosses and avoiding all the stuff going on in the fight. The goblin's going to be throwing out these bombs which will crawl to people and explode at their location. This is really easy to avoid and you can kill them as well. He'll also throw out these traps in a circle that you see, but again, just move out of them, really, really simple. The bigger main boss will do an ability called Lava Sweep, and this is the big waves of fire that you see coming out from his weapon. His most deadly ability is called Flaming Slash, and this is that you'll see sometimes where he stops and casts for a couple of seconds, and then he does a ton of damage in front of him, so you really want to watch where he is when he does this. Now, after the boss is dead, we're going to do a tactic that you've probably seen in Mythic and Heroic dungeons, where you literally just run to the end and res at the end. You want your tank to run a little bit ahead of everyone so that he gets the proximity aggro when you run through, but sometimes, and probably most times, some other people will get aggro here and there. If you do screw this up though, don't worry, the entrance to the dungeon has been moved up, or where you res in the dungeon has been moved up, so the run-in isn't that long for you if you die here. When we get to the end, you'll see that we let Zirips die first, and I battle res him with my pet, and then we simply, me and Roger die. Well, Roger feign deaths. I dismiss my pet, but then fail the feign death. I think there was something in the air flying towards me, but luckily Roger did the feign death successfully, and Zirips has the res on him, so they just get up and begin resing us. This does take a bit of time, but as you'll know from Heroic or Mythic dungeons, it's a lot easier really than having to clear through that. It just makes it a lot simpler and a lot quicker. Once everyone has been rezzed, remember to eat your buff food again, get all the buffs up. Those, those 5% buffs, crit, whatever, haste, mastery, they all do add up a lot, so don't forget that. And make sure you're ready to pull the boss. Second boss is called Oshia, and he doesn't have that many abilities. It's quite a simple fight really. Your Bloodlust will be ready for this boss, but you don't want to use it because the last boss is coming up directly after this boss and you want to save it for that. Now the first ability the boss will do is his Primal Rampage. You can see here he steps back and then he does this big cleave running forward. This does a ton of damage if you get caught in this, so make sure when you see it coming you move fast. His second ability is to jump to a crate here and release these Ravenous Wolves. And you'll see there we actually AoE them down so fast, and this is exactly what you want to do. You want to have big AoE cooldowns here to kill them off really fast and kill them in their stun. If you don't kill them in a stun, they can actually run off to people, they'll fixate on different players, and they'll do a lot of damage, and it's actually really hard to deal with if you don't kill them quick enough, so make sure you do that. The boss's next ability is called Time to Feed, and you'll see here he jumps on Roger, and he does a lot of damage to that player, and basically the only way to break it is to either deal 5% of his max HP to the boss, or you can feign death it or invis it, which Roger does do after a bit of a delayed reaction. The final ability the boss has is to jump to a second crate and release a Rylak. The Rylak is actually quite dangerous, and he'll do this cast, which is doing a lot of damage to players. What you want to do is you want to interrupt it or CC it, and we choose to CC it. You see Zirip cyclones it, and it makes it a lot easier than trying to set up some kind of interrupt rotation.
Finally, we get to the last boss of the instance, which is Scholar himself and his 2 minions. You start with 1 minion and the other one will spawn once he's at 50%. And what you want to do here is to have every single cooldown ready. You want to Bloodlust on pull, and then you want to focus down Scholar, because Scholar is the main guy here. He'll do a smash, which will knock everyone back to the end of the ship, and you'll have to make your way all the way back to the boss itself. This has a lot of downtime for your DPS, and it's just plain annoying to deal with that you have to run back. But yeah, you can see here we get the first smash, and what we recommend here is that you just play it safe. Just go behind this first crate here, and then you can take it on the next one. What we're going to do here is we're going to roar, And then we're gonna have Ryan running all the way up to the boss, making sure he's in melee range, so that the boss activates again. You wanna do it before he finishes his channel here. Once we do that, we realize that we didn't lost, and we're gonna lost here. And simply just nuke down Skull himself, and finish him off fairly fast. The two mobs, there's one with a Blaze Storm, the one that's active at the start, and the other one which is gonna spawn soon. The one that spawns soon sits in a cannon, and it's gonna fire here. You can see it on Chris, and you can't really avoid it. You just try and DPS as much as possible. Nothing to worry about really. You can see here we get actually fairly close to getting the second smash, which would have been terrible, and I don't know, we have really bad DPS in this boss, but we managed it, and that's the dungeon complete.
Yep, that does conclude our guide for the Iron Doctor Challenge mode. We hope you found it useful. As always, remember to leave some feedback, like the video and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye guys.